am Anqoinette Crosby coming to you from Chinatown Park. This sculpture behind me is part of downtown's fancy animal carnival. It's one of 5 sculptures created by Taiwanese sculptor Hung Yi seen around town. You'll learn more about them later in the show. But first, welcome to Artico Art in your community. This sculpture is called Dragon Horse. In Taiwanese culture, dragon is often used as a term of endearment for highly energetic people. In our next story, I'd say it took some pretty energetic folks, namely co-founders Tati and Sandro, to create Arctic House, an exciting new arts destination in our area. It's a one-of-a-kind artistic experience where art, science, and technology meet. Arctic House's premier installation is called XYZT Abstract Landscapes. This unique exhibition is a crowd pleaser for all ages.
Arctic House is DC's first innovative art space dedicated to showcasing artists who work with technology as a medium to create. We are here to showcase innovative and experiential installations as well as performances that are driven by arts and technology. So here comes the name, Art Tech House. We house art and technology. It is very reflective of the world we live in today. We use technology on an everyday basis. We use computers, phones. They're a big part of our lives. And artists who create with technology are very representative of our contemporary lives. XYZT is an immersive experience for 4 dimensions. It's horizontality, verticality, space, and time. And everything that you will see in that exhibit stems from our encounters with nature, such as walking on a grass, playing with the sand, being followed by butterflies and bees, and a great educational and introductory piece about what digital art is about. From kids to adults to families with children with special needs, everybody who was able to interact with installations, they're able to connect to the artwork, they're creating their own experiences, which is something that is very hard when you're exploring, just a flat 2D work.
I've been to a lot of art museums and you can't interact with it or you can't touch it and stuff, but this gives you an opportunity, to be able to interact with the pieces, and that's awesome.
I liked everything. It was really fun and cool since I love tech and also art. I really like holding up all those letters falling down from that screen.
If you're coming for the first time, I would say most importantly is definitely be open-minded and excited about your visit. We have people who spend anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to an hour and a half here. Exploring different things and creating their own storytelling and experience. So this is really a performance piece, and everybody who experiences XYZT is able to create their own performance experience. Adrian and Claire, they have a background in science and choreography. A lot of their previous work was performance-based, and with this specific installation, they wanted the audience to be a part of the performance rather than just a viewer.
It's like you're a part of the art, and that's what I think that's what the artist wanted for the people to experience, is that you yourself are a part of the art.
XYZT will be here until September 3rd. It's visiting us for 3 months while it's on the US tour. Our next installation will come in right after mid-September. That's when our grand opening will happen. As to the rest of the projects, our team is keeping it a little bit under the cover. We'll be announcing them shortly, but we'll see more different type of installations that are interactive, that are immersive.
The Smithsonian's Asian Pacific American Center and their partners are gearing up for the Asian American Literature Festival. The three-day event honors Asian American writing and writers and promotes the development of the next generation of literary trendsetters. It's the first festival of its kind in the nation.
It's going to be a showcase of performances, readings. It's also a space for incubating younger writers, for mentoring, for interactive programming. There's a list of about 50+ writers and growing right now who will be attending and giving performances. We have a durational reading that will run throughout the course of the festival where we invite the public to sign up in advance or they can drop in and take part in a reading of a novel called America's in the Heart about migrant labor. Even though it's over 60 years old, 70 years old, has so much to tell us about our current conditions of police brutality, violence against Black and brown bodies. We're really excited about the crop that we're bringing. There's some older, well-established folks like Karen Yamashita, Kamiko Han, Garrett Hungo, May Bursenberg. These are folks that have been writing and doing important work since the late 1980s, the early 90s. We have some really prominent younger writers as well that are making names for themselves right now. Ocean Vuong is regularly publishing in The New Yorker. Tarfia Faizullah, who's won a lot of awards recently. One of the exciting projects that's part of the festival is a short film that we've commissioned by a Vietnamese artist named Matt Huynh. He's a graphic novelist and illustrator, and he's adapting the opening chapter of The Committed, which is the sequel to The Sympathizer, Pulitzer Prize-winning novel by Viet Nguyen. Launching at the festival is the first ever special issue devoted to Asian American poetry of Poetry Magazine, which is the widest circulating poetry magazine in the English-speaking world. So it's a really big deal to have an issue for the first time devoted to Asian American poetry. But it's important to celebrate this literature, I think, because Asian American experience of migration, of settling into this country, of being, in many cases, refugees or children of refugees, of arriving in this country by way of war or in the aftermath of war, of being undocumented. Asian American literature has an important lens to help everyone understand what it means to live in this country right now, what it means to be alive, what it means to be surrounded by immigration and the kind of long-term impacts of immigration on this country.
And if you're interested in attending the literary festival, you can catch it Thursday, July 26th through Saturday, July 29th at various locations. Go to the website on your screen to find out more. Another highly anticipated annual festival is Capitol Fringe. It's running July 6th through the end of the month. The program has more than 100 productions and features theater, dance, music, and visual arts. To learn more, visit capitolfringe.org. At the start of today's show, I mentioned that I would be saying a bit more about the fancy animal sculptures that I've been sharing the screen with. This is Auspicious Triple Sheep here at Herald Square. The Taiwanese believe sheep are lucky, and the year of the sheep means a year of promise and prosperity. So how did these fanciful sculptures make their way into downtown Washington?
The Fancy Animal Carnival installation is a traveling exhibit of large-scale animal sculptures. The sculptures arrived in Washington, D.C. the beginning of May. The exhibit will go through mid-October. The artist who did the Fancy Animal Carnival is Hung Ye. He is a contemporary artist of Taiwanese descent, and he really is well known in Asia, considered one of the best sculptors in Asia, and he really does purposefully exhibit his work in public spaces, which is unique, kind of not bringing them to more traditional exhibit space. And so that's one of the reasons we felt like it was a fit for City Center DC, because of the public space component. I think each animal sculpture tells a narrative, and that narrative is based on the artist Hung Ye's perception of culture, and also, in many times, you see elements of global harmony, and also they're known for luck and joy. Here at City Center, we have 3 of the sculptures. We have one sculpture in the park at City Center, and we have 2 in the plaza at City Center. The two in the plaza are camels, and the one that's in the park is the American eagle and the water buffalo. There are two other sculptures that were placed in nearby locations through a partnership with the Downtown Bid, and they are at Chinatown Park and also at Herald Square. The one that's at Herald Square is called the Auspicious Triple Sheep, and it gets a lot of attention right there in that major intersection of 14th Street. We invite everybody who comes to City Center, DC to enjoy the exhibit and to enjoy the Fancy Animal Carnival, take photographs, upload those photographs to social media, and always use the hashtag Fancy Animal Carnival.
And here's a Did You Know? Did you know that from 1922 through 1950, Dr. Carter G. Woodson lived and worked right here in Washington? The creator of Black History Month spent many years in the Shaw neighborhood, not far from Howard University. Dr. Woodson's home served as the headquarters for the Association of American Life and History, and it's where he wrote the celebrated book, The Miseducation of the Negro. Now the National Park Service has restored and preserved this treasure for all to see.
I worked a lifetime in this home, and the work I did was important as life itself. So I never married, because if I had done so in my indigent circumstance, my wife would be without a husband. When I first started the work of the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History in 1915, I knew that I would have a hard struggle. I had to take a vow of poverty, and I didn't proceed very far until I ran into so many unexpected difficulties that to continue the effort, I had to take a vow of celibacy as well, with the exception of $12 or $15 a week, which I spent on myself, and a smaller amount, which I give to a widowed sister. I put back into the work all the money that I could obtain. I have written a proposal to the Carnegie Foundation to create this home to collect, protect, and preserve Negro history. This home will institutionalize the contribution of the Negro abroad and here in America. Until my last breath, I will live in this home. I will work in this home to make absolutely certain that Negro history is elevated to a respectable field of study and becomes a source of pride and inspiration for future generations. Thank you for coming.
The Woodson Home is a late 19th century Italianate row house. It was typical of middle-class housing here in Washington, D.C. It has features such as an elaborate cornice out front, tall windows, and things such as big woodwork, wood floors, and fireplaces.
You cannot separate the Woodson home from Woodson himself. I mean, he devoted hours a day, 12, 13 hours a day in this house, running the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, writing scholarly articles, writing scholars throughout the country, writing his books, and essentially leading that organization, leading the charge of Black history. He was a civil rights leader, he was a historian, but he was a businessman too. His business was in publishing. It was really from this house that the Journal of Negro History and the Negro History Bulletin that spread the word for the creation of what was then Negro History Week. This was the headquarters for the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, which really published Woodson's books and brought scholars together to get the word out as well. At a time where most of your mainstream publishing houses would not publish works on African American history. So he had to go out and create his own publishing company, the Associated Publishers. A lot of it was books that he wrote himself, the most famous being The Miseducation of the Negro. Every room of this house tells a story. Mary McLeod Bethune came here, was a good personal friend of Carter G. Woodson. Langston Hughes spent a great deal of time in this house. He actually worked for Dr. Woodson for a little over a year inside this house as well. This was Woodson's study. There was a large desk here. The few photographs that we have of Woodson are really from this room. Historically, there were bookshelves lining the walls, crammed with archival material, books that he wrote, books that he read, and it was from here that he wrote the letters that went throughout the nation, really throughout the world. This was Woodson's bedroom. This is on the 3rd floor of the Woodson home. This was Woodson's private space. And it was in this room on one day in 1950 in which Woodson didn't come down for breakfast that morning and his secretary was concerned, and this is the room in which he died. The house had been abandoned for a number of years, and it was really saved like in the 9th inning with a home run when the Park Service acquired the property and spent a great deal of money to restore it.
This was phase 1 of the restoration, getting the house completed, Woodson's home itself. Phase 2 will involve build out of the next 2 row homes to support visitor services and accessibility such as an elevator. Phase 3 will furnish the house with exhibits for interpretation to the public.
When you come to the Carter G. Woodson house, we are going to take you back in time. Some of the rooms are going to be restored back to the period, and all of those rooms will have stories. After the Civil War, everyone was telling their own stories. Well, the Black history story was not being told. So he's the father of Black history. And we're gonna have that opportunity to tell that story when people come here. And they'll find out that their history consists more of just simply being slaves, but there are so many other things that Blacks have done. And Carter G. Woodson is responsible for telling that story.
Washington native B. Steadwell, aka B. Steady, is a talented singer, songwriter, and filmmaker. She's always loved music and, though quite shy, has captivated audiences with her unique performance style for more than a decade.
I think that my influences and my love of music just made me really drawn to performing. Even though it's scary and weird and unnatural in my mind, I just keep coming back to it because it's really about having a conversation with the audience and being able to connect. If I were to categorize my music, I would either call it queer pop or soulful pop. Some of the themes that I touch on in my music are love, heartbreak. I'm a big fan of pop music, so love is really the main topic. I write all of my music from my own perspective, and that's as a queer Black woman. And so even if my song is not about politics directly, I consider it to be political because I'm placing my story at the center of the narrative. When I perform live, if I'm alone, I use a loop pedal. And a loop pedal is essentially a machine that allows you to record your voice live and then loop it back and then add a layer and a layer. I use my voice to build the song, sort of like an a cappella group, but just by myself. When I started working as a musician, I was 22. We had a rap duo, and essentially we started shooting our own music videos. Very low budget, no budget projects. But basically I was editing them and shooting them, and I fell in love with film. I had never done film before. And so after a couple years, I decided to go to Howard to get an MFA in film. Since then, I've used music and film together. So creating music videos, of course, but also narratives that are music-driven. Music is my first love, but even when you're in love with one thing, you can still have a very strong attraction to this other thing. And my favorite is really when they come together. In the next year, I'm going to record my first full studio album. I've recorded and mixed and produced almost all of my work myself. So this is an exciting new venture for me to have clean, professional studio produced music. And then after that, I'm going to shoot and direct a feature film, which I wrote a few months back. And yeah, but I can't do both at once. It's very exciting to be a musician now, in that making music is a lot easier than it ever was. It's more accessible, equipment is accessible, but getting it heard is really difficult now. We have all of these services like Pandora and Spotify, but they're not going to feed you independent artists. They're going to feed you artists that they've already been successful with, that they've already sold. Every time I perform, I like to say that everyone deserves pop music. Pop music isn't usually the cool genre that you want to brag about listening to or making, but I think that Black folks, queer folks, any marginalized group needs a space for joy, they need a space for silliness, they need a space for cheesiness, love songs, and we can't be struggling and fighting all the time. We need some time to enjoy and celebrate our lives and our humanity. Everyone deserves pop music.
Netflix is messing with my sex life. Messing with my sex life. Messing with my sex life. Hey, messing with my sex life. House of Cards is messing with my sex life. Hey, I wanna buy the girl a necklace. I wanna cook the girl some breakfast. I wanna sell a bunch of records. Come back and make the girl breathless. Real life, can't nobody hear me. Real life, the girl don't really feel me. Online, my picture is so pretty. Online, I'm better than the real me. Better than the real me. I'm better than the real me. I'm better than the real me. Better than the real me. Hey, pick me. Click me. Swipe me. Brand me. Buy me. I'll be yours.
What a gifted artist. Well, unfortunately, it's about time for us to sign off, but before we go, we want to acknowledge the passing of pianist, composer, and educator Jerry Allen. Allen was a distinguished Howard grad and received a bachelor's degree from the school's jazz program. For more than 30 years, she collaborated with notable musicians and artists like the Supremes and Howard's very own Afro Blue.
You got me spinning, going round and round, and I don't want to stop. You've got me, so if I don't go around, I'm sure gonna drop, so in top. You just go right on.
Her many accolades include a Guggenheim Fellowship and a Jazz Legacy Award from the Congressional Black Caucus for her contributions to jazz and world culture. Jerry Allen was 60 years old. What a great talent. She is going to be missed. Well, thank you for joining us for this edition of Artico. Continue enjoying your summer. Until next time, always remember to follow your arts.
This program was produced by WHUT, Howard University Television, and made possible by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.